A warm welcome everyone. My name is SHIVANES, son of M. ERAJAN. My metric number is 272878. Although there are 10 subtopics on activity-based costing (ABC) are provided to us, thus our group managed to select one subtopic from the given list, which is the limitations of ABC. Each of 5 members in our group find journal articles and other reliable sources of information on 5 different angles that are relevant to the chosen subtopic, that is limitations of ABC. For myself, I select the title of Why Activity-Based Costing (ABC) is not suitable for small manufacturing concerns that related to the subtopic mentioned previously. Luckily, I found one article for each country under Malaysian context and foreign context, that is from Mexico. I will discuss my findings into two separate parts, one for Malaysian context and the other one for foreign context under the country of Mexico. Okay, starting from part 1, based on the article of the adoption of management accounting practices in Malaysian small and medium-sized enterprises in Asian social science that was published on December 2013. The first limitations of ABC under the journal article are: ABC indicated a low extent of use of all investment appraisal techniques in it when decision-making process. Next, the more contemporary management accounting combines both financial and non-financial information and take an explicit strategy to focus. So, these are the second limitations of ABC. Furthermore, small businesses generally reported using more simplistic techniques, but ABC limited to the larger business units and techniques. Finally, the usage of ABC expect to be lower than the basic techniques because, as it is discussed in developed countries like Malaysia, the costs tend to be expensive when it starts to adopt. Next, I will continue on my part 2 of the presentation. Based on the article titled that is the activity-based costing system a viable instrument for small and medium enterprises? The case of Mexico. The journal was published on the year of 2013. The first limitations of ABC is that there are some difficulties found by employees when trying to understand the system. Secondly, Mexican businessmen have their own expectations and how they evaluate the effectiveness of the information provided by the ABC. So, this might lead to some extent of limitations to the ABC itself. On the other hand, even though the ABC give enough information to facilitate their long-term goals, only 12% of the SMEs use this tool. Considering that the main concern of the SME entrepreneur is to solve the current problems only. Lastly, the usefulness of the costing methodology is not present in the alternative methods or ABC methods are clearly stated under Mexico country's perspective as limitation of it. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Naqib and Mahyuddin, metric number 284256. And now I want to explain to you one of the limitation of activity-based costing, which is collection and preparation of data is time-consuming and costly. Increasing domestic and foreign competition, automation and changing cost structure is forcing manufacturers to look for a better understanding of their accounting system. As we know that products price consists of costs which are direct labor, direct material and overhead. There is no problem with prime cost because of their involving directly to product cost. The problem with overhead is which overhead put in the right product. Complexity structure of nowadays companies decrease their direct material and labor. However, their common cost increase instead. Therefore, activity-based costing emerged. However, the system also has limitations which I will explain next. Those benefit from activity-based costing must be weighed against the cost of obtaining more accurate information. Although activity-based costing have many potential benefits, those benefits must be weighed against the cost of obtaining more accurate information. Implementing an activity-based costing system is not a trivial task. It requires a great deal of time as well as effort from many employees across the entire organization, not just the accountant, and also the support of upper management. Because of the unique nature of the driver required by activity-based costing, new type of data must be collected and added to the accounting system. This means that employees must spend time tracking their time spent on various activities, a task that many will consider not value-added. When we want more accurate data using activity-based costing, we need to consider also the cost of obtaining it. The more data that need to be collected, the more costs that have to be borne by a company that apply activity-based costing. Next, need to evaluate the cost of each product manually. For information, activity-based costing can be a more time-consuming process. As we know that activity-based costing system follow a few steps or stages. From define activities and activity cost pool, assign overhead cost to activity cost pool, calculate activity rate, and next, assign overhead cost to cost object. Judging from the steps that need to be taken to implement activity-based costing, of course, more time is needed by employees to calculate all this. There are a lot of data and procedure that we need to consider. Instead of calculating total cost and dividing them equally over all products, companies that use activity-based costing need to evaluate the cost of each product manually. They must go through the process of dividing the product into different pools which have been determined in advance. In addition, activity-based costing is considered a comparatively expensive accounting method. Activity-based costing has been established to be a very high-cost accounting technology. Installing an activity-based costing system is technically difficult, requiring talented workers and a substantial amount of time and money. Activity-based costing system is very costly to implement and maintain in a manufacturing and serving department. Data concerning numerous activity measures must be collected, checked, and entered the system. Other than that, data produced through activity-based costing system can easily misinterpret and can lead toward wrong decision. So, managers should use the data produced through activity-based costing system with extreme care and should assign the costs that are relevant to the product, customer, and should not consider the other cost objects that are irrelevant. Since there is too much data and each department use a different cost driver which is appropriate for that department, then this makes the employees who manage the accounting division need to work in more detail and need more time as they need to analyze each data well to prepare a correct and accurate statement. Before I pass to the next presenter, the article name that I refer to complete this assignment is Activity-Based Costing System Advantages and Disadvantages. This article published in July 2004 by Metin Reyhanoglu from Ankara University.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm AZMI and I will continue to the next subtopic, which is the difficulties to identify the costs related to the overall activities. ABC method only include most of the costs from the manufacturing cost but not all, and it also includes some costs from non-manufacturing costs. It differs from the traditional costing, which is only include all manufacturing costs in its calculation. Thus, the activity-based costing method also uses more cost pools, and it has its own unique measure activity. It differentiates the product cost and the period cost that only related to the product, which is the cost of research and development of the company, the cost of the raw materials, the cost of machine, and others. The ABC use more cost pool, such as plant-wide overhead rate, departmental overhead rates. It is shown that the ABC is more use cost pool than the traditional cost. Next, ABC uses more allocation basis but commonly used is direct labor hour. It is because direct labor hours work well when change in the quantity of this cost driver related to the change in overhead cost. But the problems in many processes overhead is increasing while the direct labor is decreasing. Also, the variety and complexity of the product is increasing. Activity-based costing method use volume measures plus the other bases, while the other traditional costing is bases usually rely solely on volume measures. Last, the ABC bases level of activities on capacity that just charge for the capacity that they use and not for the cost that they don't use. Unused capacity will be classified as the period spent, but the traditional costing uses the predetermined overhead rate is based on the budget activity. This results in applying all overhead costs including unused or idle capacity cost to the product.
There are a lot of activities that make hard for the ABC to allocate all the costs. The first one is unit level activities, the second one is batch level activities, and the third one product level activities, facility level activities, and lastly customer level activities. The unit level activities are those that are performed each time unit is produced. For example, the power and the machine hour are used each time unit is produced. And the next one is batch level activities are those that are performed each time a batch of products is produced. For example, the setup, inspection, purchasing, and material handling. The third one is product level activities that are those activities performed that enable the various products of the company to be produced. These activities and their costs tend to increase the number of the different products increases. For example, the engineering changes, developing product, testing, procedure, designing a product, and introducing new product. And the third one is facility level activities are those that sustain a factor's general manufacturing processes. For example, plant management, landscaping, maintenance, security, property taxes, and plant depreciation. And last but not least, the customer level activities that are those activities that carry out to specific customer. As we know, the sales cost, catalog, mailing.
Before I pass the mic to the next presenter, I would like to share the article that I used to complete this assignment. The article is from Investopedia and updated by Will Kenton on 5 April 2021 and reviewed by the Sommer Anderson and checked by Katrina. The article has the diagram below and that I used to search for the activity cost pool.
Assalamualaikum and hello to all my fellow classmates and lecturer. My name is Naqib bin SHAHRULNIZAM with metric number 284217. Up next we have the next limitation, which is ABC can be more complex to explain to the stakeholders of the costing exercise. As we know, activity-based costing is complex due to the use of separate unit-based driver as the overhead allocation for different departments. For example, in a company, it has two departments, which is a cutting department and a printing department. For the cutting department, it uses direct labor hours, while the printing department uses machine hours as its cost driver. And therefore, the decision-making process becomes lengthy as it is because of the many departments and the cost driver used for each of them. Managers who are accustomed to traditional costing when running their operations would resist against it. Who are the stakeholders of an organization? Stakeholders is defined as any group or individual who can affect or is affected by the achievement of the firm's objective. Going by this definition, stakeholders of a company would include lenders, creditors, customers, shareholders, government, media, political groups, local charities, and etc. As the stakeholders have been with the company for a while, they also are used to the traditional costing like the managers and are also prone to resistance against it due to its complexity. The shareholders may reject the ABC as they will find the ABC would be irrelevant to the company and the company would risk of losing shareholder value. ABC costs are not relevant for all decisions because not all costs will disappear if a product is discontinued. An example being building occupancy costs, and another reason why is it can obscure the bigger picture or make the firm lose sight of strategic objectives in a quest for small savings by reducing the overhead costs. To use ABC involves managing in a radically different way, and that means the CEO to frontline workers must change radically too. So many companies have found ABC management so much more difficult to implement than they had imagined. Many companies have adopted or explored the feasibility of adopting ABC. There, however, no more than 10% of them now use ABC management in a significant number of their operations. The other 90% have given up or their programs are stagnating or floundering.
Okay, moving on with my next point. If you're a manufacturer, and probably one of the biggest disadvantage of using ABC costing system is that you would have to maintain two separate costing systems. Okay, so here's why. ABC costing system is not GAAP. So when we're putting on together the financial statement, the income statement, the balance sheet, we cannot using ABC costing system to calculate cost of goods sold or ending inventory. Okay, so instead we have to use the traditional costing systems, which include the job order costing and process costing. So job order costing and process costing, we can include that in the financial statements. Then only we can find the cost of goods sold and ending inventory. Okay, so probably one of the biggest disadvantages is that we have to maintain two separate cost systems, and it will pretty much costly and time consuming for the company. Okay, so back in the previous slide, like I said earlier, the ABC costing system cannot calculate the cost of goods sold and ending inventories. So I'll tell you now the importance of ending inventories and cost of goods sold. So ending inventories is an important component to calculate the cost of goods sold. So the method chosen to assign a dollar value to inventory and cost of goods sold impact the values on both the income statement and financial statement. Right, so overstatements of ending inventory can result in understated of cost of goods sold, overstated net income, overstated assets, and overstated equity. So why does the accurate value of ending inventory and cost of goods sold is so important? So every company that sells physical goods or physical assets needs to determine the value of its inventory for accounting purposes. So since the inventory typically accounts for a large portion of business assets, the way it's valued can significantly affect the company's profits, the company's tax liability, and asset value. So, these articles, this information can be found in NetSuite, www.netsuite.com. So the article entitled with what is inventory valuation and why is it important. So I have include the link. So for further information, you can refer through the link.